What's good, everybody? Good morning. See what we can expect today. Had a pretty interesting little news week. I'm not sure what that was at the close yesterday. Might have had earnings or something. But we cleared the high, cleared the low. And we actually cleared that high again. So, let's see. All the original liquidity. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't mind trying to see one more run into this high. So on a higher time frame, we have SMT here, right? ES has cleared the high from yesterday, NQ is below that. I'd like to try to see us clear that one more time before breaking. So at 9:30, we'll see if we can't run out these equal highs, revisit yesterday's high, and then we'll look for a sell-off from there, actually. We did have SMTs, we say, so like let's imagine that off the opening, we just break down from here. We close below this low, really below the fair value gap. We'll look for this low here. So this will be more of a failure swing, with NQ already clearing that high, or ES, excuse me. We hold that perfectly. So we'll look at this as like a rejection block. If we come into this, we can expect short-term retracements. The fact that we have these equal highs, though, I just like to try to see those be cleared. All right, 1 minute to go. Conversely, let's say that we open up, we trade lower, we go straight into 830 or like this fair value gap. I'd actually like to see a long opportunity off of that. So if we start moving lower, we'll wait until we can get into this new week opening gap, and then we'll look for a long setup. Or we move higher, we clear the equal highs, we revisit previous day's high, and then we look for the short. So kind of looking more for range-bound trading rather than a true break. If we did trade up into this, and let's say we completely disregard that and displace through it, then we would expect a little bit more of a trending session at that point. But for now, more so just have to wait, see what price wants to give. So bearish fair value gap gets held, 930 goes lower first. We're going to leave the equal highs for now. We already got midpoint of the opening range, so honestly we could reject right from there right away as we pick up this low as well. Especially as we look at NQ, right? I honestly would expect this to reverse immediately. So we pick up this liquidity, we visit midpoint, now we're going to look for this high to be ran through as NQ goes up first. So mixed opening already. ES was the stronger one, clearing yesterday's high, and Q was unable to. So we'll actually see if this run is going to clear yesterday's high and catch up with ES pretty much. Looks like it so far. Okay. So up first, well technically down first. We did as we say, we pick up the short-term low. We come into this wick that will act as a gap. We often say, if we create a long wick, very next candle displaces through the wick, that wick gets treated as a gap. Notice how this swing low was just above the midpoint of that. So now we pick up liquidity while revisiting midpoint. Now we get that displacement straight into the rejection block we had on the 5 minute. We've closed above previous day's high. So at this point, I'm interested to see if we leave a fair value gap open. This will kind of be what we're talking about with more of a continuation. NQ obviously gone right now. So we're going to leave this fair value gap more than likely. I'd like to see midpoint be re-hit. Let's move this. Closure above previous day's high. We would expect that to hold. We closed right on that. Perfect delivery. Still, no. We're going to look for this to hold here. Potential first presented in NQ. As you said, we would expect this to hold, accelerate us. We'll probably stay above previous day's high. Let's go to a higher time frame real quick. Third drive, however, which is why I'm interested to see what we actually get. But let's say we stay bullish. We're going to go for external range here. Yep, all-time highs. And that'll be external range, and from there, we'll be at all-time highs again. Always love that. That's very close, so honestly, we would expect this holds, we get all-time high, and then from there we'll look for... Well, we'll just have to see what price does. As you say, if we create kind of this again, displacement through all-time high, we'll look for continuation, and then we'll just have to use like projections. We could already use this projection here. So off the morning move. 1, 2... Okay. Actually curious as well, where are our daily levels at? Half standard, okay. So I mean, we still have room to the upside for sure. Notice we actually came back right into the equal highs. Old highs will become support. We would expect that if that becomes a swing low, this swing high should be targeted. We close below previous day's low, we completely negate that, open with the volume imbalance, retest the previous high. So now we should see expansion to clear the high, reach all-time highs. That becomes buy side. Boom. Honestly, what I'd like to see here, oh, okay. I was gonna say what we would like to see actually is if we can leave a first presented, clear the buy side, and then invert the first presented. That'd have been clean. We immediately though close that in. We'll still look for buy side here. 2-minute fair value gap. So what we often will see, let's say that we stay short of this, we could pick up this low and still hold from there because that's the 2-minute fair value gap. So it's going to be a swing low and a 2-minute, something like that. Something simple. If we can't get into the buy side right away. Honestly, we might try that already. Early morning. I like the idea of trying to get just such a long wick. 1 to 2. Okay. So now we're back inside that fair value gap. You said as we clear this low, that'll be the turtle soup entry. We want midpoint here. I'd like a midpoint tap. The actual 2-minute, just so we could see it here. Inversion, liquidity void as well. So now that we see that on the 2-minute, we may need to come all the way back down into here. We're going to watch and see if we can't respect that. We want more of a confirmation with how early it is. That falls right through. Have to wait for the close though. Right, we're simply revisiting previous day's high in NQ. Opening range in ES. Okay, potential first presented. Let's see if we leave this open here. We did not get below the 1-minute fair value gap, so it has not been inverted yet. We have tried to open with that bearish volume imbalance. We'll see if we negate that, close back inside the fair value gap. Honestly, if not, let's say that this stays open. We reject from here, we close back below the 1-minute. We leave today's first presented aligned with the inversion. I would like that as well. So we did fall short of all-time highs, but we did pick up this short-term high here. So we have to understand sometimes price will leave the external ranges. Because we did actually close back in this volume imbalance here. Still have the belief that we could come for this high. So we're going to look, we're going to see how first presented gets interacted with right now. Here's the first presented in NQ. We got below it. More than likely it'll try to hold as resistance. If that's the case, this one as well. 5 minute, we did clear that. Because we also did get the equal highs. So yeah, we may leave all-time highs. A lot of fair value gaps in here, correlating with the opening range. So we're still looking for a closure below this fair value gap. We get that, then we'll look for a retracement into first presented. That should really hold price at that point. It's anchored to previous day's high that we've already cleared more than once. And now at that level, we actually create the U2 model again, right? Short-term high being cleared, displacing through that low. And we've just closed below for the first time. So we're going to watch first presented, and we're going to see if we can't actually hold that. Right, the low, the first presented is pretty much midpoint of the inversion we have here. See if we can't close below it twice. We always like to see that, right? Double confirmation. We close below, we actually do respect that. Relative equal lows. We're pretty far away. What's this wick? Just want to see the first presented touch here. What reaction we give. I like the idea of using that to get short though. So we should run short from here. Just a little early for my liking. I want to see if we can respect it once, maybe give another tap of it. So we're just getting our first presented now, and Q is already above it. That's what I'm saying, right? That's why I'm a little hesitant here. I like that shorting opportunity. I just don't like that we fell short of that all-time high so close there. But as we say, oftentimes we will leave areas like that, especially if we're going to want to retest that later this week. So I think this short might have been the play there. As we said, first presented, stop would be above just to be safe. And then I wanted to see 830 here. We'll see if it gives us more of a potential entry. If we can, so we won't enter right away on this. If we can actually reprice into this first, even the midpoint or the high, let's say we do one of those two, and then we actually close back below the first presented, then we'll try to use it at that point to catch the continuation fall off. If this becomes a swing high and we actually just break right away, we'll probably use this and continue to fall. So we'll just miss that and be okay with it. First presented, we'll look for closure below the inversion really. That'll lead us to believe we're going to start breaking down some more. Equal highs inside first presented though. That was a 2 minute as well, so. Opening range is also causing some issues. We could hold here. Closure below. Okay, so that played out nicely. At this point, we would look for the actual inversion to try to hold now. If we're going to deliver cleanly, of course. If we're going to get choppy in here, we could run for these highs again. So we're going to watch right away the reaction we get at the low of the inversion. If it looks like we're going to want to keep pushing, midpoint, of course. If anything, equal highs again. We did just hit that 15-minute. So inside of our opening range, we have a 15-minute, 5-minute, and a 1 hour. There's those equal highs we said. So at this point, we'll wait. We'll see if we can't refill at least midpoint. So we're going to move. Oh. More worried about the first percentage today. See what this does here in NQ. So far, pretty ugly opening. You got one good original turtle soup here off the opening to run into buy side. Since then, range bound. Might be a little morning consolidation, late morning run. So we pick up the short-term high. That would have been another opportunity. I just want midpoint. No wick to the upside, rejection after creating a bullish volume imbalance. Pretty bearish. We're at a point right now, though, where we're kind of disregarding the 1 minute, if we're being honest. Right, we're starting to barcode here. Still favor the shorts, however. This is a little fishy up here, but creating the short-term high, clearing the short-term high, immediately displacing back below previous day's high. That would be bearish 9 times out of 10, right? If we didn't have all-time high right here, we'd already be looking to short. So based off price action alone, we would favor lower prices. The 2 minute has been completely repriced as well. Same with the 2 minute inversion. That's interesting. Let's see if we start respecting this inversion level now. I like this low sell side. Oh, bless me, sorry. Okay, yep. So just fell short. We did have midpoint here as our area of interest. We actually give perfect delivery into the low. Right there. So from here, we'll see if we're going to close below midpoint of the opening range. Still have this huge fair value gap in NQ. So right now, we're still really in bullish territory, I would say, as far as NQ is concerned. Right, we've simply picked up a short-term low and we've hit midpoint of that fair value gap to open up the day. Because of that, we could actually expect ES to try to run back into this range as well. So as I said, we did have a small fair value gap here. We just tapped that. We clear the sell side again, but we go right back into that range. What we should hold if we're going to continue bearish would be this up close candle. So let's say that we're done with the first presented here. We're not trying to get back into that. We perfectly deliver into the low. YouTube model holds this up close candle that clears the equal highs and gets displaced below. That should be the area of resistance that continues to send price lower. So now we're going to look to see if we can leave the opening range. If we close below the opening range, we should close below this fair value gap as well. From there, we would actually look for a little deeper retracement. So I would look for like midpoint of this new week opening gap we have here. Which is, where'd it go? Slow load, there it is, okay. Midpoint would bring us untapped. A few sell side targets there. So yeah, we respect that. We respect midpoint. We should keep breaking down here. Looking at this volume imbalance pretty much. So if we're going to close below the sell side like this, and now we've closed below the original wick that was holding, we're going to see if the body continues to hold, or the volume imbalance continues to hold the candle bodies. Retesting midpoint of opening range. Could do that a few times if we need. Oh, okay. So body tried to squeeze back inside. We close above it, but we still respect midpoint. So we'll see if one candle, bearish volume imbalance, we'll see if that negates this candle, gets back underneath that little volume imbalance here. And Q, after bouncing off midpoint of the bullish fair value gap, retraces into previous day's high. So that's going to be a key level that we'll try to resist price if we're going to continue to fall. Right, ES is kind of leading the way, already below that fair value gap. If the expectation is NQ also wants to get into its opening range, previous day's high should hold us. We should then close below midpoint, which held us as well. All right, here's that fair value gap. Let's see what we get with the closure. Closure below. So we should keep going bearish from here. Honestly, I kind of want to try. Let's see if we leave an inefficiency. We leave some type of inefficiency here. We use that with the most recent swing high to come for that midpoint inefficiency down here we're speaking of. We might actually just use that and go right away. Oh, yeah, okay. We sure did. So as you said, that was kind of the flip point. We were expecting one more retest, but instead it's an immediate retest as an inversion, and we get that fall right to target. Unfortunate. So this is a case where really the bias was correct the whole time. We just had no entry. It didn't give the entry that we would like. Of course, this is still valid, right? Using the first touch of that is completely valid. Just for me, I wanted a little bit more confirmation. So I was looking for the midpoint. We fell just short of it. Unfortunate. From here, I want to see 5. What is the 5? So have some time for the 15. I'd like to see a higher time frame. Close below a low. If we can do that, look for actually a deeper run. So maybe the low of the new week opening gap now. Honestly, if we leave an inefficiency here where we just broke through that liquidity, we'll try to just hop on board with the trend now. We'll use the old liquidity point. Stop will be above the inversion here. For the low. Let's just say we get heavy. Let's just expect a heavy day. All right, we're gonna try to enter on the old low. That was broken through with the displacement and that fair value gap there. And Q leaves also, so a retracement into this would also be nice. So we could look for a quick retracement in both. We'll look for the displacement fair value gap created as we invert the large fair value gap for the first time, which will lead us back into previous day's low here as well. Or not previous day's low, excuse me, just an old swing low. We did just hit the low of the opening or the new week opening gap perfectly. So admittedly, I wanted to leave that alone. So I would have wanted to see this retracement be created before we hit that low. Because let's say like that was the objective. Now we're going to see the reversal. So this will get inverted. Either way though, this should be a good area for us to kind of gauge market interest. That'll be crazy. We'll just use that high. Should have just went with the fair value gap. Shouldn't have been greedy. If that stays open, we're gonna miss this here. It's just gonna keep running. At this point, we would want the new week opening gap low to try to hold. If we close below that, we may miss this. So I'd want to see us try to run the short-term high as we fell just short of that low there. So if we could pick that up, turtle soup entry it while also being inside the inefficiency, and Q come back up here as well and try to hold some there would be nice. Oof, no way. Now we're being too precise, too perfect. Hopefully we can get that. I mean, it's just, if that's the case, no, we'll just leave it there. We'll go above this candle like that. And I do want to use perfectly that low. So we're holding pretty much, right, we got to bring up midpoint again. And we just cleared that low. Looks like we're going to leave it break away. Because what I'm looking at pretty much is midpoint of this new week opening gap. If we go to a lower time frame, so this level right here is the midpoint. Second missed entry. Let's see if we close below. Yup, we're gonna run right to our target. All right. So at this point, this is where we get a little bit like we don't want to start chasing, right? You have to still find logical discounts and premiums. We'll look for this first presented. If we can close below that, we'll try to use that. So if we're going to stay heavy, this will be our next area of interest. So we won't really do much until we either get into that or we come back up into entry. More than likely, we could look at this as a tape read, right? So like if we're going to displace and close below the new week opening gap and this new day opening gap, oftentimes that'll be the entry like that to finish the move. So we'll see what a 1-to-1 does. I still want this. I think we could pick up that high and still break again. But as you said, we'll tape read this here. New week opening gap below and new day opening gap after displacing below. If we're truly done with this and that's all price we're going to do, institutional order flow inside that fair value gap, we'll hold from here. Deliver into the first presented, and then from there maybe get a bounce. Bullish. New 1 hour candlestick, so we'll see what that wants to give us here. We're gonna have like an hourly potential fair value gap. So this new hourly candle, that's when we could see the retracement into this candlestick's range. But so far, it's holding that new week opening gap kind of as we would expect. Heavy price delivery. We can close above new day. Cool. Okay. So we should be able to accelerate. We hit, is that midnight? That's perfectly midnight. So this may be a flip point here as far as a reversal. If we're going to start running bullish. Midnight and NQ. Up into its opening range. Would like to see that reject. Just short of this first presented. So I still want that in ES, which is why we'll commit to this here. It's also a 5-minute inefficiency. So we'll have a higher time frame inefficiency. We did not close below these levels. So that already is a little bit fishy, right? That could be more a run on stops. No higher time frame closure. We did get 1-minute closure, but this could easily be the purge and revert. So we're going to watch this level. If it starts being respected as a bullish discount, overall price may actually start trying to go bullish. We still have our entry here. So we wouldn't mind actually trying to hold this in the short term. Once again, that midpoint of the opening range is continuing to hold price. We cannot get above new day opening gap here. Wicks do damage, bodies cannot. Bodies tell a story. While at the same time, opening range low is holding. We displace right through, we invert here, as we said, that's more bullish. We'll look for a bullish run from there. Haven't gotten an entry yet. First one. See if we can get it. We did just hit a 5-minute here, so this high was a 5-minute fair value gap. We could see where we're trying to enter is a 2-minute. Let's see. That'd be crazy. Doesn't want to give it to us. So NQ actually does give that return into the fair value gap. Here. ES fell short. If we break, that'll be very unfortunate. Closure back below the sell side, so I think we might not get back up here. We would have wanted to see this old liquidity hold. Don't want to see it be resistance. Closure. So the 5-minute just closed, but entry. I was gonna say 5-minute just closed below. So to me, that's an indication that we do want to create one more bearish leg, especially if we were going to wick it the first time. It's just a matter of if we can get our entry before it breaks or not. NQ runs that high. Let's give us one more here. At this point, with how much we're consolidating here, if we're offsides, it should happen quick. Like, we'll probably see a displacement that goes right through this inefficiency. So here's the inversion in NQ. As we said, with how long we've spent down here at this liquidity, if we're gonna flip and go bullish, this is a fair value gap that'll get pretty much disregarded. It'll get traded right through. So that's what we're trying to see here with the closure. Closure above midpoint, yeah, so already we want to see midpoint hold. We close above it. We did hold the 2-minute midpoint, but even that, right, midpoint's going to try to offer a support in the short term. We have a fair value gap up here as well, which we allow. Stop loss is above the candle that creates this one. So from here, we want to get back below this fair value gap, right? We want to close below it, especially because we've gotten midpoint. So we've already done really all we need to do, to where if we would displace below that and close below it, it should allow us to now use it as resistance and run lower. Looks like we're going to try to create a fair value gap here in NQ, which is less than ideal because we actually close back above that. So once again, that's a little bit more bullish. We're going to have to get below this now bearish or bullish fair value gap in NQ. What we would see here is that the low of this fair value gap would be what holds price if we're going to run bullish. So now that we've closed on the low, we're going to watch and see, right, what kind of reactions we're getting here. Because as I said, if we're going to stay bullish, immediate rebalance here. This candle hits this candle's high. It's holding the low of the potential inversion. That's bullish. So this will get displaced through. It's going to close above. If it did that, we're now going to have the down close candle anchored inside. Right, so in bullish order flow, that will support price. And we're going to invert this. Double negative. We would not want to see that. So at this point, we're looking. This would pretty much need to be it. But as we said, displacing above midpoint right away throws us offsides. So seeing that immediately, not a fan. And now closure above, so this will probably be used as support. We did trade into this, the high of it. This candle would need to completely pretty much give up this range and get below midpoint. But instead, it's probably going to, as we say, we've now anchored this down close candle inside the inversion. That's going to be bullish. As price trades down into this area, it's going to hold. And it's going to close again above this fair value gap now. So it's just going to continue to disregard the premiums and respect discounts. We would need to see this candle pretty much, as we say, overtake this whole range and at least try to close inside this bearish fair value gap. If it can't do that, next candle will accelerate into our stop loss. It's already deeper retracement, no swing high entry. Now we have these things that kind of give us a good indication if we're going to be on side early or not. Notice there really hasn't been any fair value gaps formed in any of this. It's a pretty sloppy delivery, very efficient. I do like that we were able to, as we say, kind of reclaim that, get below midpoint, but we're still holding. So when we move this, we're still holding the low. Low of this fair value gap is what will hold price if we're going to go bullish. So seeing it go down is cool, but it doesn't really give us any confirmation because that simply could be a wick to then accelerate again. We need closure below. Yeah, immediately back up. Okay, so just a stair stepper, right? High resistance delivery. We hold the low again. This time we accelerate above this high. We'll close above it. $830 level needs to hold. Opening range is wall low. So stop loss is kind of above all that. Bearish fair value gap here in NQ or bullish, remember? Has not been traded into, so we'll see if it does. If it leaves as a breakaway and just goes, obviously this will be where it will be stopped out here. Yeah, okay, so looking bullish. Okay, already not liking it. We like the stair step of delivery, right? With a lot of lows. But eventually we need a fall. Like if we just keep doing that, we're just gonna explode higher. And we just actually close back above. Okay, so that's no good. We used a low, we respect the low, we displace above the high. We get back into the range, holding the low still. We now close back above. That will often lead to bullish run. So what we would need to happen here is pretty much what we often say with like one candle closing above, next candle negating, and closing all the way below. That's the only way we would trust this. Because if not, it's just going to hold that and accelerate, clear this high, run into our stop here. You're getting echo? Oh, and music, what the? What happened? Oh, my thing changed to the screen, my fault, hold up. That should be fine. Cool. Yeah, that's no good there. Bearish volume imbalance, so we need to get below. We need closure below this fair value gap. That's what we're looking for here. If we can close below that fair value gap, we'll cut risk a little bit. But so far, right, it's going to more than likely hit midpoint. Now that we've closed above, midpoint is going to be the key level. So the retracement into midpoint, especially if that becomes a swing low, next candle is going to go bullish. Yeah, let's see. Bearish volume balance, that needs to stay open. If we close that in, this swing low stays active. Bearish premium gets negated. Bullish run expected. So we just created the failure swing. This would pretty much need to be what starts setting price lower. Right, this failure swing here. Because if we're going to attack that high, we're going to attack this high. As I said, we have 830 here and our opening range low. That's what we want to see hold. We don't like that. Don't like the wicks. Do not like the wicks. Brutal. Midnight as well, yeah, right? This little dash line right here. Midnight, 8:30 opening range. And this candle's actually bullish as hell. So, I mean, if we're going to go bearish, we want to be going short above the opening price, which is here. So we're in good for shorts if it's going to run bearish. That's the only issue, right? It needs to start breaking here. Ideally, I would like to see it, if we're going to get this low, I'd want it to do it before 10:30. Because if we get stuck here and like we're just range bound and we don't clear this low, and it's 10:30, this will be our morning range low, and more than likely we won't come for it. Which is why I'd like to see us be heavy from here. We'll take one partial if we can get back at this sell side. That'll be 5 handles. But as we said, right, the low of this fair value gap is not going to want to be broken if we're going to stay bullish. So the fact that we keep seeing price reject that is not a good sign. We've opened with the bearish volume imbalance, but if this goes no wick to the downside and runs bullish, once again, not a good sign. We need this to stay open. Because this could go no wick, this could go back right above midpoint, right, stay ugly here. Looks like that's what it's trying to do. At this point, midpoint needs to hold. Oofta. That's probably worst case scenario. Bearish volume imbalance negated, no wick to the downside. Full displacement right back above the fair value gap. If that closes above, next candle will run right through these highs. That's terrible. What we would need to see is pretty much this reversed. No wick. If we form even a little bit of a wick, we would expect it to go bullish. At least for this high. So we would almost need to just do what we did here. No wick, run bearish, get back below. Close below these lows now. Continue. We don't want a wick there. We don't want rejection off entry. Remember, this is the old liquidity that's often going to be used. And that's why we keep seeing this entry point getting rejected. We pick up the equal lows. As we said, we don't want a wick that stays inside that fair value gap. We still are brutal. We don't like that because we're closing above here, 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 but we're unable to close below. So that tells us that it's more willing to want to run higher. We did just get closure below. That's good. Now that we've closed below and this up close candle is anchored to the low, we really should not get above that there. That becomes a new area of interest. We're going to take one 5-handle partial at the original sell side if we can get there, and then we'll leave the last one for the liquidity. New day opening gap. Not good there. We need to stay below that, because now we've hit the bullish fair value gap after consolidating. That's going to be, and we have equal highs here. That could lead to a very aggressive bullish run. Yeah, okay. So that's not good at all. If we're seeing things like this, we want to see candles respecting the premiums. So this one actually did at the last second, and it was able to wick. We'd want to see this pretty much break and attack this candlestick's low. We don't want this to become a swing low here. Inverted the 1 hour. Let me see that. Nice, okay. As I said, we want to test this low, at least midpoint. We don't want to see this be a swing low, ideally. Or if it is, we'd want it where like the body is getting close. We don't want to see a double wick here. So we want to see this candlestick push into this wick. However, we did just hit midpoint. That's going to hold price. Oh, we fell short of midpoint, actually. Still no inefficiencies, right? So very slow, very high resistance delivery. This is the stuff that gets you burnt out, right? If you're not really expecting it, or you start wishing for things to occur, mental capital gets drained. Instead, we just sit and commit. Or if it's going to come to sell side, it will. If it wants to run these highs out, it will. Not much to really stress about. As we said, I would hope we have 10 minutes until 10:30. I'd want to see us at least get a partial off before that. If not, and we just stay range bound, more than likely this will be our morning range low. And we're going to retrace deeper into this range, so we'll be off sides. That's not good, keeping that. Especially because that was perfectly hitting new day opening gap right there. So if we end up closing back above midpoint, we're going to go bullish. As we said, we do not want that to be the swing low. That's a terrible swing low to form. Especially because we try and we can't even get into midpoint with the bodies. Very next candle, no wick to the downside, runs bullish back inside of this up close candle. We would want mean threshold to hold. Looks like it'll get above it. And at this point, we don't like that, right? This trend line liquidity here. So we're not taking any of the highs, but we're taking the lows. That makes it easy to, in one swift motion, run out all those highs. Really, this should have been the break, right? If we were going to be on side, this candle here should have ran this low, attacked the sell side. We may still have a chance of like turtle soup, but we're not really trusting or liking this setup much too more. We do have this one that's been holding us, so it needs to continue. We did pick up this high, so ideally if we're going to pick up that high, I'd want to see us break quickly. Not pick it up, close above it. Not bad. Bearish volume balance, that needs to stay open. We need to fall immediately. This would need to be a swing high. So now this we want to be a swing high. And ideally, we attack this low. As you said, our entry is right on an old area of liquidity. So that's kind of why we see price respect that so precisely here. How long have we been in this trade? Oh my, 20 minutes. See, that's already best trades of 15 minutes or under. Don't want that to be, oh, excuse me. See, I'm getting bored out here, God. Don't want that to be a wick because we're hitting a 5-minute low again. Here. And we just did, okay. Yeah, I'm really expecting a quick bullish spike, if I'm being honest. If we can keep this open, we'll see. That did turn into the swing high, that's nice. We should not attack. We should leave this swing high in place until this low is cleared. If we come for this high first, in my mind, leaving this low, as we said, that'll be going against us. And more than likely, it'll try to close above these fair value gaps that have been holding, especially because we just wick and rejected it. We should see it break down here now. Goodness. Five-minute low again. Not really convinced that we're wanting to break. Simply retesting the 5-minute low, picking up a short-term low. If we can't close below that low, as we said, everything is just setting up for quick bullish expansion. Right, we continue to wick through lows. We need to close below a low for the first time here. And nope. Volume balance, maybe. The 4-hour low. Wait, that low of the 4-hour from Friday. Let's see what you're talking about. They're going way back. They're going way back. Yeah, I mean, that could be the issue. I just think we're more so just stuck in consolidation. But yeah, like we're using that, right? Obviously, we're inside of that. Here. That is the 4 hour, the area that just popped up. So we close below the low, but see, like right there, we immediately go back into the range. There's no follow through of any kind, really, in either direction. That's the big issue here. This would need to hold, because now we're getting a little ugly. We never like creating these retail patterns or whatever. The channel. Oofta. Yep, straight back up. Okay. This will probably be it here. If we're going to continue to do this, as we say, no follow through, going lower, unwilling to actually break, we'll commit to it. Because as we say, sometimes retail wins. So oftentimes you'll get delivery where it's just, it leaves the highs, continues to test them like that. High resistance, as we said. We're expecting high resistance. It's 10:28, so ideally these next two candles try to at least clear one of these lows. If not, as we said, that's not going to be a good sign. We're going to create a low below the new week opening gap, and our morning range will be put into place, so more than likely this is going to get left behind. Or left, anyways, not cleared. High resistance, high resistance. I'm gonna go 2 here. I'd rather take more off. Just close most of it if we can get there. Stop dealing with it. Right, don't forget, we have the new day opening gaps. That's the issue. We'll keep holding them. So if we're gonna break, we need to follow through here and actually get below 10:29. So yeah, this is gonna be... We're not liking it. Uneasy feeling. Time then price, right? Time is not aligning with us too well. We'll see what this 10:30 candle wants to do. Uh-oh, we can't clear the low. That's not a good sign. We want to get that low 10:30 now. So once this candle closes, the morning range will be put in place. It's going to be this low. Unless we get a huge bearish candle right now, which we will take. But that is probably unlikely. So it seems like we're actually going to hold this low. Which to me means if we are going to run this low, I feel like this sell side will hold. And we won't actually clear this low out. So we'll leave this for like final. But that's why I'm going to close majority of the position if we can get the original sell side low. Top 3 worst price delivery. Yeah, so really crazy. We're just in a holding pattern. That's what we call those. Right, no follow through. And it's very easy to tell because there has not been one fair value gap created in the past hour. Since 9:51 to 10:31, 40 minutes, no fair value gap. So matter of fact, if we can get out, we're done for the day. Like, I'm done. I don't want to be in. I'm very impatient as my trading style. I would never be a good swing trader for that reason. Tried it, couldn't do it. If I'm being honest, I don't get how people could sleep with a trade on. If I had a trade on, I could never sleep well. That's what I'm saying. We're just one above, one below. We're playing in here. Absolute stuck. Oh dear. Oh brother. At this point, we're cutting risk because I'm not trying to be in it. If we come above this high, get me out. We get partial, I'm going immediately to break even. Just because, like I said, I don't really want to be holding this one. We've already been in it much longer than I would like. And now we've put in a short-term low, intermediate low, excuse me, failure swing here. So if that's an intermediate swing point, we could see the reversal. And right as we say, we're holding that new day opening gap, refusing to get below it. Not a good sign either. Morning range low put in place. Yeah, we're not liking this at all, actually. Here comes that bullish run. We'll probably go straight for it. If midpoint of this wick does not give immediate rejection, stop loss. So pretty much that would have to be it there. At this point, it's just playing with us. We pick up this high. We'll see if it can hold that, but I just had clear that high at this point. There it is. Closure above. Next candle pushes into it. All right, that's fine with me. So we cut risk before. Right, manage some risk. We take the stop. That's hideous. Those are like the worst trades to be in. Not really going anywhere. We'll see if we leave this fair value gap open. So as we said, this will probably be our morning range low. The fact that we couldn't get there before 10:30 was already a bad sign. I'm interested to see if we're going to leave this fair value gap here. Because if we can, that should be more bullish. Of course, now we're about to break. Sounds about right. Even there. No, okay, wait, we did leave one. First fair value gap we've created here. Absolute stuck here. Let's see if we fall through. This would be hilarious now. This high tick us. Seems we're going to want this liquidity now. So we come back up. We didn't even take that high out. We made perfectly equal highs there. Curious to see if we leave like an inefficiency. So as we close below the only fair value gap we've really created in this leg, my guess is that's going to be what's going to try to hold now. We might try one quick. We'll just follow it. Middle of the range, as we say. If we're stuck in choppiness like this, I try to withhold from entering middle of the range. That's pretty much where we're at. So this may be our only entry for today. 0 for 1. There is that 5 minute, right? That's kind of why I was eyeing that one. But we'd have to close below the 5 minute. See if that becomes a swing high. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Yeah, this is terrible. Holy cow. Last week of August, though, to be expected. As we go summer to fall, price action should clean up. We are holding that. We'll see if we can fall. Just want to wait till 10:50. Oftentimes we'll see if we're going to chop like this as we head into 11. We'll get a nice release. Pretty much just been consolidating inside the new week opening gap. See if we can finally clear this and get back inside of opening range. Once again, though, this will probably just be a wick. We don't seem to want to actually release. If we can close above it, that should give us a chance. Nope, no closure. Oh, buddy, oh, buddy. Subpar day today. Holy cow. theoretically, this would be an area where if we can displace above these highs, we'd really have to displace and leave it. And this would be balanced, right? This whole new week opening gap now. So if we can continue to push and we want to stay bullish, like we really should only use the most recent discount here. We haven't actually gotten above any of the premiums, however. So that's only valid if we can, right, displace above these fair value gaps. At least equilibrium. If we didn't already get there, we did. Okay. So we've just cleared. That's what that first wick was. So yeah, especially now, like if we would have closed above this, we should try to leave these open. Closure above. Okay. See if we can get a run here for this high. Same idea in Q. If we can get back above this original fair value gap, it should create a release. Starting to put in some fair value gaps. We'll give it one more actually. Let's go for the first presented. So we said we were holding 830 opening range fair value gap. We displaced above that. This range here is balanced. It's just an issue if we're going to stay range bound or if we want to do release 1045. We'll try one more here. So at this point, we'll look for continuation. We don't want to be stuck in consolidation anymore. If we're going to leave the high of this range, this low to this high has become balanced back and forth. Right, we've completely and efficiently delivered everything inside of here. So we'll simply look for a retest of pretty much this fair value gap, like a wick, 830 level. Stop loss will be below the candle here that creates the lowest fair value gap, because if we don't want to see that, the low of this candle should try to hold price. And then we'll just target this high here, which is inside the first presented. Cool. So this will be it for us today. Try to use 1050 to 11, see if it doesn't give us something. Admittedly, we would have wanted this to be a wick entry, so we could have held this as an inversion. So we want this candle to get back above. Right, we close above here, we want this to be an inversion. We close below it, we want to close right back above it and run. We'd also want to see NQ get above that fair value gap. Right, look at that delivery, it's perfectly holding there. So if we can get above that, if we can reclaim this, get above, we get our swing low entry. Should be okay. Short-term high cleared. We don't want to wick that. We want to close above and stay bullish. We don't want to SMT up top. Like right here, we want that closure above. Of course, it closes in the range. We'll look for expansion outside of it. I like these equal lows here for a partial. There's that follow through. Volume imbalance should remain open. Ideally that stays open and creates like a perfect volume imbalance. So now that we've hit the close, just go bullish from there. Don't even give a deeper retracement. So that way we'll leave this fair value gap as well here, like this. That's what we would want to see. Create the fair value gap, leave the volume imbalance open. Go bullish, partial out. Cool. So we're going to leave that fair value gap just as we like, and we left the volume balance open. Perfect. We did just wick that high. It's the high of a 5-minute fair value gap. We would want to see this now hold though and accelerate us higher. So as we said, we're looking for the bullishness to now continue. Discounts to start being respected. Don't want to invert these or anything like that. Hey, baby. Okay. You too, love. Alright, this would need to hold. That needs to be a swing low. We are going to cut risk a little bit. I don't want this fair value gap to be visited at all, to be honest. So like we could go below this low, but if we can run this high out, we'll go ahead and put it right below this fair value gap here. Because we could see ugly delivery where we need to pick up these equal lows. Especially because we didn't actually get into midpoint of this. So just in case we want to revisit midpoint, we'll have our stop below that. But ideally, we hold these discounts up here and just start going. Close above that fair value gap in NQ. This should hold. We want to see the follow through bullish. We'll actually take one more just because we're going to want to secure some. So at the high of our opening range, we'll take one more. We're above today's first percentage in NQ. We would want that to hold as well. We had a bullish volume imbalance. I wanted that to stay open. Don't want to see this candle close bearish. Ah, we did. Okay. Not a good sign. Let's hoping that we could actually get back above, close above again. We don't like to close below midpoint. Test the high, stay below midpoint. That's pretty bearish. Especially if we run a high here, SMT at the highs. Let's see. Inside of a 15 right now. We want that to hold. We want to get back above midpoint though, if anything. That's like the first thing we're looking for. Reclaim this midpoint now that we've hit the low. We don't want to get below that. That's going to be bearish, especially if we come through these lows here. So we're able to get one partial off. We'll see if we come back for stop now. As you said, we didn't hit midpoint here, so we could pick up these lows and hold midpoint. That's kind of what we would want to see. If we displace through these lows, obviously, then we'll be offsides. So at this point, we're expecting a run on these equal lows here, but we want that to simply be a turtle soup. NQ comes into the fair value gap. Let's see if we can get the bullish. Retesting this as an inversion for the first time, we would not want to see rejection. We want to at least close inside of it. We reject it after testing it as an inversion. We'll look for this low again. So we do actually hold that. That's not too good. We want to start pushing through this, not respecting it. Getting stuck again. Don't like holding it. We need to get inside, ideally above midpoint. Closure above midpoint, we should at least run for the high of it, and then we'll see what we get from there. Nothing. We were able to close inside. We'll see if we can't use the low of it for support now, if we're going to close inside of it. Want to reclaim the fair value gap first. If we're going to run this high, though, this would need to be one that closes above. Okay, we need to displace. Because now that'll be the third drive. We could see, and we're leaving lows, right? So we could easily reverse on those if we pick up this high and don't actually close above it. It'd be even worse if NQ ran that high and ES was unable to. We want this volume balance to remain open now. So it's created right at the high of the bullish fair value gap. If we can leave that open, anchor a discount to a pre-existing discount, that'll be nice. It'll also be nice because we'll be closing above this volume balance as well. So kind of three things we'd want to see, right? Closure above the volume balance, closure above the fair value gap, leaving this volume balance open. As you said, NQ ran this high, so we don't want to see this become a failure swing here. Like, we don't want to hold this and then come back below this fair value gap. Instead, we want to follow through to run this high, catch up to NQ, leave that open in NQ, which will allow continued bullishness as well. Fair value gap, volume imbalance combo. Nice. So we'll see if we can get that high. As you said, we'll partial once again at opening range high. That's another partial. We get off that partial, we'll just go straight to break even. Because at that point, we'll make back the loss and we don't want to give back anything. So we'll either end the day in profit or end at break even overall. That stayed open, so at this point, we don't want anybody closing below this. Wick into it is fine, but we'd want it to be a wick rejection. And ideally expansion into opening range high. Nice. Clear this high. We don't want to wick that high. That's the first time we've engaged that high. Notice the immediate rejection. We don't want that. We don't want a short-term high. We want to see follow through. Bullish breaking structure. Closure above. Because for right now, it's a short-term high. Let's see if we can market structure shift it. We feel pretty confident in this one because notice what time this candle was formed, okay? Right at 10:50. At 10:50, we're trading into the discount here, following 10:50. So if that's the case and this macro is going to produce some type of run, we should see it go from a discount into a premium here, the high of the opening range. We have technically cleared a high already, so that could be all price wants to do. We want a little bit more follow through, at least the high of the opening range, right, is what we're looking for here. Real close to it. If we can leave this open, that'll be good. That's what we want to see, volume imbalance. We want to truly close above a high. We don't want to just wick it. We opened with the volume imbalance here, so we wouldn't want that to close in either. That'd be kind of a bad sign. It looks like it's going to rejection quick. Ooh, okay. So at the last minute, it actually stays open. So once again, we want that. This is more of a market structure shift now. We want this volume imbalance to become now what holds price with the body. And we'll look for here. We could wick into this, but we don't want the body closing below here in the short term. Once we hit opening range, then we could see it fall back into that range there. But until then, we would not want to see that. We do not want that to be a swing high. That'll be a bad swing high to form. This needs to hold now. Ideally, we need to hold this and run out that short-term high that we just formed. First test of this volume imbalance, so that's fine. As we said, we could hold that. First test of the volume imbalance, fair value gap combo, and ES, equal highs. I like the idea of running those one more time. Closure below midpoint will be a terrible sign. Oof. We'll just go like this. Half handle difference. No need to hold it for the range. If we can clear the high, just in case we wick that perfectly and reject. If we can get one more partial off, as we said, break even for us. Hopefully we don't break down from here. Closure below this fair value gap, terrible sign. Really closure below midpoint. We want to get back above this fair value gap now that we've retested midpoint. Close below this volume imbalance, right? So that could be a premium now inversion. Ideally, we close back above that as well. We're trying. Can we get above it? We don't. We get right on the high. From here, we want to see bullishness. Right, there's a very small bearish fair value gap here, so we want to close above that as well. All right, let's get one more partial, get risk-free. Let that last 10 minutes maybe run into the short-term high we got targeted here. Don't want the failure swing. Don't want this to reject and hold the fair value gap here. Last thing we want to see. Because then we're actually still respecting the volume imbalance. Nice, okay. So at this point, any retest of this would need to be met with an immediate rejection of this fair value gap. If we're going to close below it, close back above it, retest its midpoint, and close back above it again, We just need to start moving. Just short of the opening range high in the upper quadrant of the opening range itself. NQ did hold that fair value gap though. That's looking gross. This may be an intermediate swing point. We would not want that. Ideally, we clear this high so we don't form an intermediate swing here. If we can clear this high, we'll still have a chance of pushing it. As we said, this is that delivery bullish we don't ever like to see. The stair stepper, we call it. Because that makes it so easy to just fall right through that. If we can get a partial off first, it won't really matter because we'll already be able to go break even. But it's struggling. High resistance once again. NQ a little bit more bearish. We actually hold that fair value gap. In ES, we close above it and get right back below it. That's the stuff we don't like to see either. Negating the closure above. That could lead to a sell-off. We want to try to get back above it again, or else we're going to get stuck below it. Ideally, we just expand right through it. One swift motion. Got about 6 minutes. I think we'll cut this at 11:10 regardless, to be honest. Don't want to be stuck in a trade like we were here. A little too long, just getting choppy. We never like that. So yeah, we partial this final one. We're going to jam our stop right below this low. And then we'll just need to let it run for first presented here. Now that we've closed below midpoint though, this is going to be an issue if we see the candle starting to hold that level. We wick it the first time. Second time closure below. So if we do that and respect it, right, that's going to want to continue to send price lower. We close below this fair value gap. Once again, terrible sign. We're really using this as resistance now, which is what we didn't want to see. That's why we didn't want to close below it. That's not good. So we're going to get below it. We're probably going to close below this fair value gap. As you said, we can allow all the way down here even. That'd be less than ideal, but high resistance, we have to allow for pullbacks. Admittedly, ideally, we can just hold the low of this. May need to revisit opening range low. So we'll see if we're going to probably close below this fair value gap. It's not going to be too good. We pretty much want to see what happened here. An immediate candle to try to get back inside. So we've just closed below it. We don't want to see this reject. That'll be a bad sign. We want to see this candle make an attempt to close above this candlestick's opening price right here. And then ideally close above midpoint. We would not want to see it wick midpoint and reject. We want to see displacement, no wick to the downside here, negating this candle closing outside of the fair value gap. Nice so far, but we still got 20 seconds. A lot can happen in that time, right? We could reject and come all the way back down. Just like that. Yeah, we're starting to show things we do not want to see. Oof. Unable to get above the candlestick's high, and we held midpoint, so I'm not really convinced yet. Even if we're pushing in here, this could simply be retesting that to fall. nope, nope, nope. Not good, not good. Don't want to be holding this. We need to get above it. The longer that we hold this, the easier it's going to be to fall and continue to break through lows. Right? We're holding premiums. That's not what we want to see. One candle was able to negate this candle, but if we close below again, especially if we follow through with another closure, yeah, okay. So we make that become a swing high. As we trade into the premium, oftentimes we'll see the swing low being targeted. Low we need to hold. If not, this low gets targeted here. And we're moving opposite of NQ. It also is not a good sign at this point. Pretty much looking for what we did here. That's kind of what we're expecting to take place, right? The choppiness, and then the release finally. So choppiness. We'll look for a quick release to at least get this high. NQ goes up, ES goes down, NQ rejects the up close candle. Not good, not good, right? That's going to be the premium here in NQ. Low needs to hold. We need to get above, as we said. This down close candle is the issue. And midpoint, of course. Ideally, we close above this. This is a 15-minute level, okay? There's a 15-minute inversion here. Want to close above. Don't want to keep testing it. Same in NQ. Want to close above here. Nope. Does not want to. Midpoint. Not looking good, not looking good. You want the displacement to close back above fair value gap here. One swift movement. Ideally, we run into the high right here. We said we're holding the 15-minute inversion, which is good. We'll see if we can't expand. Closure above fair value gap will be good. As we said, we didn't even clear this low. So once again, stair stepper, right? Ever since this low, low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Closure above will be good for us. Bearish volume imbalance, don't want that to be anything of significance. As we retest fair value gap, we want to push. This is dead us watching paint dry today. Holy cow. As long as we respect midpoint, we should be okay. Right, so at this point, we're just watching midpoint, watching the high, wanting to see price continue to respect those levels. We want to push through these equal highs here. And then obviously get us our partial, where we can then go ahead and relax a little bit. I'm trying to debate just closing there fully, if I'm being honest. What time is it? Yeah, I just kind of want to be out of here. We're going to do this. No partial. Final exit. High. It's only 2 handle difference. That's fine if we don't get those 2 handles. So at this point, we're already going to go like this. We're going to break even right now. Break even. We do have new lows. Maybe we try to at least get first presented. Just the fact that we could not clear this low, right? I feel like if we run this high, it'll be a rejection again. NQ just ran that high, especially. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to close here fully if we get that. Risk-free trade, partial secured. As a matter of fact, just in case we're crazy, like specific, we're going to sell one right there. We've seen it plenty of times where price will like create perfect delivery, right? So ideally one candle takes both at the same time. One, two, three, four, five equal highs right there. Commit. You trust. Look at that. That's hilarious. There it is. Oh. There it is now. Oh. Don't even want that fair value yet. Just trying to be out. Or actually, is there a 2 minute? Hold up, sorry. There's a 2 minute right there. We can go like this. It's just one contract, so just in case we do need to get into the 2 minute. But ideally, volume balance here just holds. Run this right into that. That's why we took a partial as well, just because the price is very wonky right here. We hold that. Next candle should push right into our exit. Get the high. Call it a day. Thank you. Oh, we're about to go right into first presented too. Let's see. That's what we call target smash there. First presented up here. I ain't gonna lie, we're done. That what the? What's happening right now? Oh, okay. Oh my. Oh my. That's all right. Nice, so we met that target as well. That's right, it looks like we got out on that swing. We are recording, yes, and we got sound too. So it'd be a good one to repost. Yeah, holy cow, that was not as fun actually. Let's see if we get swing high exit though. We're gonna wait for that. Give me swing high exit. Although granted, it was down here, but hey, the candle looks good still. looking good so far. Nice. All right, we're done. Swing high exit. Beautiful. Right into first presented. So overall, one loss early on. Best shorts, these shorts were clean. We just didn't have the conviction to trust it. So first shorts to start the morning would have been perfect. Using that first presented to target the original sell side. Once we did that, we would chop it a little bit, try to get a continuation. Instead, we invert that. We start moving bullish. So now we start looking for longs. We understand that once we closed above this high here with this candlestick, this whole range has become balanced. So there's no need for a deeper retracement. So we simply use first fair value gap inside of that range. We were chasing that beautifully. Partial out at the swing high. Give one more retest of the BPR. And then we finally get that release into the buy side and our first presented again, right? Retesting its midpoint beautifully. So overall, good day as far as profits. Right? As far as price action itself, pretty high resistant, slow delivery, which is never fun, but if you understand what to look for and kind of the objectives, it'll still play out, as you say, just higher resistance. So good day overall. As far as tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? A lot of high impact news again tomorrow. Okay, so we'll come back tomorrow about 9:50. We have high impact news at 8:30 and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we'll let 9:30 open and we'll get here just before that 10 o'clock news at about 9:50, 9:55. And we'll see if we can't get a nice little silver bullet set up to end the week. That's satisfying right there. I like that. All right, fellas. Thanks for hanging out this morning. YouTube, yeah, we should probably do YouTube. We haven't done it last week at all. Been lacking. So we could do a YouTube stream. Honestly, it's just hard with the YouTube and Discord at the same time, which is why I'd rather Discord for y'all. But we'll try that. The twofer. That's just crazy to see that precision right there. I like that. Kind of curious to see if we invert and go back lower now. Back inside the range. Retested first presented. Now we come for that breakaway gap that was left open inside the BPR. That's how that works. We're already good. You guys can watch that. We're going to call it. So just said, appreciate you guys hanging out this morning. Good day overall. Watching paint dry, so mentally taxing, but it's a good idea or a good session to kind of show why you commit to your ideas and how to deal with that choppiness. As you said, we'll be back tomorrow on YouTube at about 9:50, and we'll close out the week then. So I hope you guys found today helpful. Appreciate you guys hanging out this morning, and we will talk again tomorrow morning. Take care, everybody.